y'all, and welcome to the Healthy by Heather Brown podcast, where I encourage you in healthy mind, body, and spirit through my Sunday reset. Let's get into it. All right, girl gang, so excited to have on the show today. So welcome, Diane. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so excited to talk to you. It's great to see you again. We haven't caught up in a few years.
Yes, I know. I was laughing because Diane and I pre-show were talking about how I was on her show so long ago, and I just can't believe that we're finally coming full circle. And I feel like now we even have more in common than ever. So I'm really excited for this conversation.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to dive in. Congrats on your podcast, by the way.
Thank you so much. So Diane has been a longtime podcaster. She's been podcasting for many years. I joined the game probably about 2 years ago, which is wild to think about how fast it goes. But Diane is known as the Minimalist Mom. And so I would love to just have you tell us a little bit about have you always been a minimalist, or did becoming a mother make you realize you needed to be a minimalist?
Yeah, no. So the story actually goes back to when my husband and I were newly married, and we were in my parents' basement looking for something. And my husband looked at me and said, look at all of these things that are now in boxes that were once your dad's hard-earned working hours. And it just really struck me to say, what have I been working for? Or what have I been working towards? I felt like I'd been working towards like the tangible things, the things that made me feel outwardly important, but inwardly they weren't doing anything for my soul. I feel like it was like the starting point of searching or figuring out my identity, I guess I would say. There was a lot more depth there than occurred in that moment, but that was like the journey that got me propelled forward to start pursuing experiences over things and to start living more minimally. Just like, why do I have all of these things? What's my motivation? So yeah, it was that moment that got me started. I'm 36 now. Again, that happened in my early 20s. I've been trying to pursue a minimalist lifestyle ever since then. Again, really just more focusing on experiences over things and people over things. And yes, adding 3 kids to the mix, I think it makes it so much easier to live with less. It's like, what are the things that we really value and we really want for all of us? So sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
No, I love that. How old are your kids now?
Okay, so my oldest, she's about to be 10. My son is 7, and then my littlest is 5.
Amazing. So I think that some people are going to be like, wait a minute, she just said that it's actually easier to be a minimalist once you have kids, but I now have toys and clothes and shoes running out of my ears and taking over our home. So what to you makes it easier to be a minimalist with kids?
So I think it's out of necessity that I feel like it has to happen in the household. And so I guess I shouldn't say easier. It just seems like it's something that I really want to pursue, because you're right. The things start to add up. It's not just me and my husband anymore. We have these 3 kids with their own autonomy that are still bringing things in. But I think there's certain little tips that you can use to kind of keep the clutter at bay. It's that acquisition cycle that we really need to address, as opposed to kind of getting the things out. Because at this point, I've already done that. I've gotten the things out. So it's like, what's coming in? But yeah, I think just getting really honest with the people in your life that you're wanting to start pursuing. I don't know, just think about the overwhelm. When you enter into your home every day, if it's a mudroom, it's the entryway, and you step foot in what should be your sanctuary, your refuge, and it's chaotic, it automatically, even if you're unaware of it, puts you in a certain mood or a certain position in your home. And we bear that burden. And to me, I'm like, I don't want my things to be a burden on me. The world is full of burdens that I can't control, but this is something that I can control. Again, I can't necessarily control my husband or my kids, but we can start to set up systems to control the little things that we have, without being redundant, control over.
This is helpful. And I think that people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, whoa, acquisition cycle. How do you deal with that? Like, what is your maybe like day-to-day or week-to-week routine when your kids are bringing in all the schoolwork? Well, actually, don't you homeschool?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that I love to live by, Gretchen Rubin actually talked about this in one of her books, but she says it's the 1 minute rule. So give or take 1 minute. If it can get done, address it right then and there. So mail, when you go out to the mailbox and get it, I won't go out to the mailbox if I'm not going to address it right then and there. So I go get my mail and then I deal with it right then and there, because those little things just build up throughout your day. So when my kids come home from school, I'm addressing the book bag situation right then and there. As they get older, you can have them help as well. Like maybe sort the lunchbox, get rid of anything that hasn't been eaten in the trash can, or it goes back in the fridge if need be, or wherever, the pantry. So you can kind of outsource that as the kids get older. But I think that those little those few minutes here and there really add up to the end of our days, the end of our weeks when we're the most exhausted. And for me, I'm like, I'd rather just take care of it versus when I have low energy and I want to relax and I deserve to relax at the end of the day. So even setting up systems like your entryway table or a little hook that you can put your keys, saving time so that you're not looking for these same things over and over. It's just little habits like that, micro habits that add up to a lot of time wasted. I think as moms, especially when we have multiple children, honestly, even if we have one children, we just want to function as well-oiled machines. I'm not always the best at that, but if we can set up systems, then I think it works. We function a lot better that way.
Totally. I'm going to get a little bit into the nitty gritty here and just share some practicals and tangibles that have worked really well for us with our family. And I'd love to hear how similarly y'all do this or not. But I have, for context, I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. And obviously the 6-year-old has to have somebody go behind him and check that the lunchbox is actually well balanced or what have you. But I have this pick 4 method for lunch where it's like everybody knows they got to have some kind of protein. They got to have some kind of fruit. They know they got to have some kind of, carb. And then they can have a treat once they've got their lunchbox well done. But it's like as soon as they come in the house, they can't turn on the TV. They can't play with a friend. They can't go outside. They can't do anything until that day's chores have been done. So we literally have a basket in the entryway where the backpacks go. And it's like they come in, the backpacks get emptied. All the papers are dealt with. If it's something that I love, I don't necessarily take the time to go file it then, but I probably learned this from you, Diane. There's this box that we have that I'll link it on Amazon. It's awesome. It's clear. And it's just tabs for each year. And if it's something that I think that I will want to save, I put it on top of the box to then sort at the end of the week. And then each boy has to pack their lunch, their snack, lay out the clothes for the next day, put on their soccer clothes if we got practice that day. And then that way it's like they've done their chores. It's all taken care of. And it's not like, oh, panic in the morning or like when you're exhausted after the whole day and soccer practice and dinner, then having to be like you're saying, dreading it and going into it. It's the worst.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, you didn't get that from me, but that's an awesome tip. I'll take it. I'll take it from you. One of the things that we have, and then I'll get back to something else about the acquisition cycle. One of the things that we have is just a bin that's at the bottom of the steps and just anything that I find obscure down here. I'm sitting at the counter right now, just like little toys. It's just kind of like we're getting it out of this space where it doesn't belong. I'm not going to go upstairs right now, but at least I'm putting it in this basket because at the end, like either at the end of the day or whenever I go upstairs next, I can kind of get it closer to its home. So one of the other rules I love to live by is a home for everything. Everything has a home. And even if that's a junk drawer or you have like a bin of action figures, it doesn't have to be perfectly sorted, but you kind of just have like tabs on the inventory of your home. So I think that's really been important to me. But going back to the acquisition cycle, I feel like we didn't really talk about what that actually means. So again, personal autonomy. I don't necessarily want to rule over my 10-year-old, telling her what to bring in or what she can be gifted. So I love to establish physical boundaries in her room or visual boundaries, not physical. Visual boundaries of a shelf or some kind of compartment to say, you can fill this as you want. And then once it's overflowing, it's time to start to get rid of things. And I do the same thing in my closet. I only have a certain amount of hangers. And then once I bring something in, it's time to get rid of something. And this just happened to me last week. I got a couple of things from Abercrombie and it was like, okay, it's time to take assessment of what I have. 2 things need to go. And that might sound rigid, but it just helps you stay on top of, again, that acquisition cycle, bringing things in that are unnecessary. And more often than not, you have more than 2 things that probably need to be let go of that you haven't worn. If you're being honest with yourself that you don't need and love anymore. And so I think some people will look at minimalism like looking to Marie Kondo of like, does it spark joy? And it doesn't necessarily have to spark joy for me because some things you just need out of necessity. But I do think if I don't love it, why do I own it? And that's something that can kind of sit with you as you address your own personal things. And then the last thing I'll say, and then I'll let you talk about the acquisition cycle is oftentimes we have people giving us things that we don't necessarily want. So like a mother-in-law, a grandma giving us these things. And so I think prior to birthdays or holidays, any type of celebration, like having those conversations beforehand, before we get into the emotionality of those moments, saying like, hey, we're going to start to live differently. We really want to start prioritizing so-and-so. Hey, on birthdays, our daughter or son really wants to go out to ice cream or a movie with you. And then if they go to get a little toy afterwards, again, that's where the visual boundaries come into play of that. But I also think once something is yours, it's yours to do with what you will. And so we can go deeper into that because I've said quite a bit.
No, I love all that. And I'm in the same boat with the grandparents and also my sister and everybody that buys them gifts for Christmas and all the birthdays. Wild. But anyway, one thing that we've really found is helped us a lot is asking when I had preschoolers, can we have a Zoom membership for the year? Talking about before we even hit record, we were talking about how intentional living is so important to both of us and how we really feel like there's a lot to be said there in mind, body, and spirit health, and how these intentional things that you're doing to set almost like easing boundaries around your home are super helpful. And you're right. The chaos and all the things, they stress me out so much. And I have so many things I want to say, but I also want to throw it back to you. But one thing that has really been a game changer for me, because I know my listeners love a good tangible takeaway, is not only that clear plastic bin for their school stuff, but have you done that January challenge where it's like January 1, you get rid of one item out of your house all the way through January 31st, you get rid of 31 items. Have you done that?
Yeah. It's called the Min Challenge by the Minimalist started that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, at least that's what I attribute it to. I started doing that and then I kind of fell off because I just got rid of like 200 things that day. I was like, I'm just, when I really start decluttering, I kind of go for it. I just kind of get obsessed with decluttering. So, and people are probably like, wow, she's a minimalist and she still has 200 things. It's surprising what in those moments where you're like, I used to love this, I no longer do. Or how did this get here? And I didn't notice it. It's time to let it go.
If you are loving everything you're hearing here in this episode about mind, body, and spirit health, how they're all interconnected, my tested and proven Sunday reset method, and leaving a healthy legacy for your kids, you need to join the Healthy by Heather Brown membership. It's a community of like-minded women seeking the Lord and better health with weekly resources where I get to personally cheer you on. You get 7 days free to test it out. Link to join in the show notes or go to healthybyheatherbrown.com. When we're talking about that though, like same thing. I was like in January, I was like, man, I'm going to keep doing this every day. But then life happens and you get busy or whatever. So for instance, like today when we're recording this, it's the 23rd of the month. And so in my mind, I'm like, I haven't done that in a long time. So I'm actually going to make it a goal for myself when the boys are having their quiet time today, that while they're reading or doing Legos or whatever for those 30 minutes, I'm going to try to go find 23 items to get rid of because it's just a fun goal. It's like a game for yourself.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. I think, well, I'll let you talk if there's another thing you want to talk about, because I could also say a lot.
Yeah, I definitely want you to, but I also was going to ask you specifically, from a almost like scientific stats standpoint, do you mind speaking a little bit into what does a cluttered home cause as far as just like emotional or mental or whatever distress for you as mom and also for kids? And I just feel like you probably have a verbose thing that you could share about that.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up the study 1 second. There actually is, oh gosh, hold on. Let me pull it up really fast. Well, we know, like I said, that feeling that you have when you go into your home and it's chaotic. If right now that's actually happening right next to me, not that I don't know if you have visual, like you have a video of your podcast, but my son just had all this Play-Doh stuff out here and it was his birthday. So he's been sitting next to me today doing all that. So I'm going to address that right after, but I'll probably bring him on board as well. But all that to say, that causes me stress right now because I know that is something that I have to do and it's just unnecessary. But I like to think about if you go into a hotel room and how you can just kind of let your shoulders come down and just be at ease. There is something to be said about that. So I think if we even see the difference for ourselves, we know that something is off when it's not put together. But
so true.
So the study is... Okay, the U.S. Senate Special Committee just had a study of the consequences of clutter. So it's talking a little bit more about hoarders, like really when you're really extreme, but it's talking about older adults. And so they're finally doing research. And again, U.S. Senate Committee is doing this research because it is affecting people's health, like especially older generations. I think that they lived through the Great Depression, or at least their parents did. And so they're coming out of that of, we can't let go of anything because we may be without. And I do think that's important to consider as well. Like, don't just get rid of things and be thoughtless with what you get rid of. And there's something to say about like fixing things and not just getting the brand new thing every single time. But I think we can just see that in our own lives, the anxiety of keeping too much, it's just, again, going back to what I said at the beginning, a burden that's unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely. What does it look like since you're a homeschooling mom to be intentional with your time that you're decluttering, spending with him? How do you keep all the homeschooling or things organized? Kind of walk us through that.
Yeah. So I'm sure some people have amazing homeschool rooms. I would love to have one of those at some point, but I guess it just doesn't really fit what we do. We have just a handful of books in our curriculum, and the book that I actually homeschool my daughter. So the book that she's reading, and we just have it up in a little cabinet in our kitchen area. So it's not necessarily excessive. So it seems pretty easy for me to kind of maintain it. Maybe if I were homeschooling everyone, it would start to feel overwhelming. I just lost my train of thought. Oh, how do I stay on top of decluttering and everything? I think, again, going back to those systems that you put into place, one other thing that I think is really practical that listeners could take away today, I have a little bin by my laundry, by like my washer dryer. And I'm just assessing as I do laundry. So it's like, oh, I know my son grew out of this. He no longer needs this. So I throw it in the bin by my laundry. So again, it seems overthought. It may seem like a lot of work on the front end, but you will thank yourself here in a few weeks once you just start getting these little habits into place. You stay on top of the clutter. And I love with that bin, you don't have to like throw it away necessarily. I love giving some of that stuff to as hand-me-downs, and I can see it on my friends' kids, and that's kind of fun. But also, once that bin is filled, I have another bin in my car, and I take it out there. And once that bin of donations is filled, that's when I go take it to VOA, Goodwill, wherever. So again, it sounds like a lot, but it's actually quite easy. 2 bins and you can stay on top of clutter. That's pretty easy.
Well, and we talk all the time around here about your Sunday reset, where you are just coming up with the systems that work well in your home to help you work towards the goals that you currently have in that week or that month or whatever. So I will say, for instance, this past Sunday, it's not every Sunday that I clean out my closet, but in my mind on that Sunday, I think, what is driving me actually bonkers? And for me this Sunday, it was my closet and the boys' closet. And because this has happened before, I was like, I need a solution. So I go on Amazon and I buy this extra little cheap, flimsy, easy to pop up little hamper. That hamper lives in my closet now behind the regular hamper. And I'm like, the same as you. When 2 new things come in, I'm like, 2 things got to go out. So I'm throwing them in that donate bag that goes out of the car, or the bin that is then to repurpose and sell or whatever the case may be. But that Sunday reset, y'all, is where you can do it, that you're setting up the systems, because we know that you can't just sit down today and do all the things. But when you have that time carved out that you want to be intentional, that's when you make it happen.
Yeah, I love that you choose one thing. That's a great idea. Just choosing one thing on Sunday with the Sunday reset and getting that done that day, and or saying like, this is one thing I want to accomplish this week. Maybe you're a working mom and you don't have as much time during the day, but you're like, at some point this week, that's the one thing that I can get done. There's a great book called The One Thing, by the way, that he talks about that very thing. Like, what's the one thing, which really goes down to like, what is priority? Because priority, prior to the 1900s, it meant the very first thing, the first and foremost thing. And then in the 1900s, we pluralized it as a society because we had so many priorities, and it was the Industrial Revolution. And so I think that if we look and say like, oh, I have these many priorities, one of the things that I love to do in assessing like what actually needs done, you write down everything that you have to get done, and then order it in least to greatest in your mind. Kind of like you said, that bedroom, the closets were overwhelming to you. And then you cross everything else off. That's your priority for the day. So you got there without necessarily doing that. But if you want to kind of figure out what takes priority, right now the priority is talking with you. This is my priority in this moment. Nir Eyal also talks about that in his book, Indistractable. That is also a great resource that I highly recommend.
Amazing. So she has recommended several books and things that will be linked all down in the show notes. So I'll put all those down there for you guys so you can easily access them. But I know I'm going to be adding them to my Audible so fast after this interview. Diane, I cannot believe how fast time is flying. And I know that you don't have very much time left. So if you could tell people like 3 things that are changing your life right now, whether it be a product, a habit, something about decluttering, I would love to hear it, specifically related to kids if possible.
Okay, well, I'm a really fast talker. So I'm going to give you three with kids. Okay,
Great.
choose your battles. Not everything needs to be a battle for you. If your kid wants to wear a Batman cape to the store, it's not something that I care about anymore. It's like I'd rather build that time up for something that actually matters. Allow the kids to join you when you're decluttering. Allow them to be generous and gift giving with their things, sorting through the things so that it doesn't backfire on you. We don't want to create these people that are little hoarders at one day or in the future. And then you can live with less than you think. I think that it feels so overwhelming to start, but once you start to build that momentum with decluttering, even a drawer, even the side table, even the bathroom is the easiest. It's where you have lack of sentimental attachment. So you can go in there, pull everything out, see what you can live with that without 30 days, and then get that momentum to move throughout the rest of your house. And then what are three things that I'm loving for myself? Pilates, kombucha, and what's something else I really love? Is that what you mean? Like what?
Yeah, this is great.
My life. Pilates, kombucha, and what else is something that's changing my life? Oh, I have kind of going back to that list of things that we love to do or that you want to see what takes priority. I have this little notebook. It's so cute. And I just have a running list in there to anything. Like it's kind of like a brain dump. So I write down anything that I want to buy, the calls that I need to make, the podcast that I need to edit, just truly anything that comes to mind. The other day I wrote wash down wall at the bottom of the steps. And it's just this running list. And as I get to things, like if I have 5 minutes, it's like, what do I need to do? And then you can kind of just whittle it away. So it's slightly different from that priority list, but this is just my brain dump that makes my life easier as I'm drinking my kombucha after Pilates. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So are you not a coffee drinker? Has kombucha replaced your coffee?
No. Oh my gosh. Goodness, no. I have coffee right here. I just always have, and then I have tea right here. I love this Egyptian licorice tea it's like the Yogi brand, or I think it's called. No, I have many liquids. I love Spindrift.
Oh my gosh, me too. Yes, so good. And then Diane, in closing, I ask every guest this: how do you reset?
How do I reset? Usually in nature. I mean, I love being out in nature, whether it's with my family and just resetting all of us, or if I have to go on a walk or going on a hike. Ohio's not great for hiking, but just getting out into the woods is always a great reset without your phone. And if you can do it in silence, it's a lot better. But regardless, God did amazing things when he created the world, didn't he?
He really did. He really did. We love nature too. Is there anything else in closing that you want to tell everybody, either as an encouragement for moms that are overwhelmed by their clutter? And then also, will you tell them where to find you online to get more resources?
Yeah, I will say here at the end, as we're like kind of slowing down, I always have to tell myself, slow down. You talk so fast. There's a lot here. But I would just say you can absolutely live with less than you think, as I said there at the end of those three things. And you should do it, and you should try, and you should, even if it's just a few things, like I said, a day or one thing a day, just see how it feels to get to the other side of that. Because I've found so much freedom in living with less. And then did you say where you can find me? Did you ask me that?
Yes, but I also just want to say that I feel like God just laid on my heart after you said that I think that there's such a prevalent culture right now of keeping up with the Joneses. And that's such a common phrase because it is a common struggle. And that's just like our sin nature. We can't help but want for bigger and more things. But really, it's such like a lie from the devil that clutter is going to set you free, because at the end of the day, like you said, at the end of your dad's life, all he had left was this box of things. And I just would hate for you to be trapped by literal inanimate things when instead you could be spending your time and money on experiences, investing in your people. And that's one thing that Eric and I have really started to shift in our own family, is just being like, we don't want to spend the money on a nicer car. We want to go on more vacations with our family, or we want to save money and eat in all the time, not only because it's more healthy, but then also when we do want to go out and have this experience as a family, as a restaurant, where it's not as stressful to spend that money because we save so much eating in as much too.
Yeah. No, I think you're really hinting at like, where does my identity come from, and where do I get that identity? And one of the things that actually, I know you have the health podcast. one thing that really helped me overcome eating struggles at one point, like this was maybe 5 years ago, is I looked around this, I swear this relates here at the end. I looked around to the women in my life and I'm like, wow, we're all different body sizes and you're so beautiful and you're so beautiful. And actually your weight is the least interesting thing about you. And it kind of just took that pressure off of me to say like, why have I been emphasizing this in my life? And it's the same thing with other things. Why have I been emphasizing that I needed to have the most expensive clothes, that I needed to drive the new car, that I need to have the newest iPhone? It's just like, is that why I'm likable? Is that why I'm valuable? And when you start answering those questions, sometimes you're left with answers that you don't love. Sometimes you're left with an empty vessel that needs refueled and refilled. And you and I know as believers, I assume most of your audience is believers, like God is truly the only one that can fill it for us. It's not a thing. It's not a person. It's him and him alone. So I think that you can just rest easy in allowing yourself to detach a little bit more when you actually get that visual of what matters.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, well, that is a word. That is the place to end right there. That is good.
Thanks.
Oh, you're so welcome. Okay. So tell them where to find you online and then we'll wrap it up.
At Minimalist Mom's podcast on Instagram, wherever you listen to podcasts. I have a book of the same name for beginners if you're looking to get started in this. And then I do have a new podcast coming out in January called Clear Intentions, where it's kind of just a continuation of the things that I've been learning through Minimalist Moms, but just kind of on my terms, these conversations that I'm going to start to have. So stay tuned.
Yes, I'm so excited for you. Well, we're really thankful that you guys joined us today. Thank you so much, Girl Gang, for tuning in. Make sure you go follow Diane. She is at Minimalist Moms on Instagram right now, and then you can stay tuned for her updates. And then if you will do me a favor, please screenshot this episode, share it on your Instagram stories, tag us, and tell us what you're going to declutter today and how you're going to create some freedom for your family. We would just be honored and blown away to see that and would love to share it to inspire others around us. So have a beautiful day and I will talk to you next Tuesday. Bye. All right, y'all, welcome back to the Marriage Corner. And let's talk about maybe one of your favorite things, which is gifts, especially if your love language is gift giving. Eric, is that your love language?
Typically I enjoy giving gifts. And if the person enjoys giving gifts, that's usually means that is one of their love languages. Don't get me wrong. I definitely enjoy receiving gifts. But I'll be the first to admit I have not always been the best person at receiving gifts. I'm a 5 on the Enneagram, and a lot of times it's very difficult for me to receive gifts. And, basically I'll be that type of person like, no, you really shouldn't have, like basically I didn't deserve this. That's a lot of like the 5 thinking is I don't deserve this in life, a lot of guilt, things like that. But you are great at receiving gifts, and it's made me a better gift receiver. And yeah, I want people to know, like, if they give me a gift, I want them to know how much I appreciate it. And yeah, but I wouldn't say that gift giving is my love language. I would say words of encouragement is probably my biggest love language. I feel like you're a great gift giver. What do you think?
Thanks, babe. So Eric is definitely words of affirmation for sure. And I would say, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the nice gesture of gifts. And I certainly do like to react big because I know that's just what we do in my family. We make birthdays a big deal. Christmas is a big deal. Gifts are a big deal. But I don't think that giving gifts or receiving gifts is really my primary love language. And I do think that with giving gifts for Christmas, I sometimes struggle with that because I want, if I do give a gift, for it to be meaningful, like to have some kind of personalization or mean something in particular to that person. And when you're narrowed down to this one day to make it all happen for everybody, it feels like a lot of pressure sometimes, I think, to, perfect that art that gift giving is.
Another thing I would say as well, too, I wouldn't say that you or I are big into material things at all. I think people are always astonished when they went into our old house, just how, especially the first few years, we did not have a lot of furniture. There wasn't a lot of stuff on the walls. We had what we needed, and I think I feel like we still have a similar mindset going forward. And kind of to go along with that, I do have a strategy with gift giving, being a 5 as well, too. I'm very, very, very analytical, but I'm a big believer in one big gift about every 5 years. It just means that much more. And then I can coast for 4 years. I don't really mean that, but I am a big believer in sometimes a big gift is definitely something to think about if you're able to do that. But going back to what I was saying about not really into huge materialistic issues or things, we're more into experiences. So a lot of times for Christmas and birthdays, a lot of times we'll focus on giving each other experiences, whether it's concerts or vacations. And I think as the kids get older, that will become more of their primary gift for Christmas and things of that nature. At least I would like it to go that way.
I definitely agree with that. And one of the things that I want to drop in here is I would not be sad if we went to Morgan Wallen again sometime soon. So if you want a concert ticket idea.
That's one of those big gifts every 5 years. You also know how I feel about big crowds.
I do, which is why it's even more of a gift that you're sacrificing.
For sure. So we'll talk more about that.
Another season, yeah. Or another episode. But y'all, I will say with kids, I definitely have a strategy. Our big thing in our house is that we try to purge a lot, especially leading up to Christmas, because I do not want the boys to have closets, a playroom, anything overflowing. And so we definitely purge a lot before Christmas and also after Christmas. If you've been around here for a while, you know that after Christmas, we start purging as many items as there are days in the month for the whole month of January. 1 item on January 1, all the way through 31 items on January 31st. And I feel like that really helps us just keep a handle on the sheer amount of stuff that is in our home.
Yes, that's very true. As somebody who doesn't like a lot of clutter, I really appreciate that. That's great. Another thing that I would say about gift giving, gosh, I keep losing my train of thought really bad. Go ahead if you have another thought on gift giving.
Yeah. I'm like, man, the energy drink is not helping you here.
Got a lot on my mind right now.
I know, bless your heart. He's also on call and been keeping the boys while I was out of town. So he's a rock star dad and husband. But anyway, also with gift giving, I think that, yes, we do typically do experiences. And I've shared this before, and I share it in my holiday planner, that we do try to do 3 gifts, I feel like, that are main or major for the boys each. And I love doing that because I feel like it does tie back to baby Jesus getting the 3 gifts from the wise men. And also we really try to make a focus of Christmas be more about, obviously, like the Lord's birth. And as a kid, though, it's so, like, we all have been kids. We know it's so easy to get wrapped up into, like, it's present day on Christmas. But I do love that we do things like going to the Christmas Eve service and being with family the night before and just making sure that we're doing things like Star from Afar, other things that we've weaved into our family culture that still makes it not just be about the gifts, if you will.
I remember what I was going to say.
Awesome.
So I think another big thing as far as actual gift giving, whether it's experiences or material items, a big thing that I focus on is you really need to plan out the gifts that you want to give, just logistically getting them, but also too really thinking about the person that you're giving the gift. That's what it's all about. And what will they really appreciate? What will they really like? And just let them know that you care. So I encourage people to think ahead. And I know a lot of families and parents are doing that probably at this very moment. So I encourage people to plan their gift giving, and the setting in which you give the gifts obviously can sometimes make a huge difference as well too. So that's my plug for that.
Absolutely. And of course, I would be remiss to not say to start shopping things on sale to save money. Eric and I do try to start thinking ahead of time about what to buy for people too, so we can help budget for how much we want to spend on people. That way for, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Green Monday, all these made up holidays that they have now, that we're shopping the sales for what we're looking for people. And if you need any help with that, I certainly cover that a lot on my Instagram stories and email newsletter. So make sure you go down there below and check those out if you have questions. But Eric, I'm really thankful that you do the big gifts. And a lot of times we'll say, hey, this concert is coming up or this trip is coming up, so let's make that part of our Christmas. That way we're not blowing out a bunch of money on material things that don't mean as much to us, but we're really getting to, put that money towards the bigger thing.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to show our children the importance of gift giving for one another as well too. And as a kid, you're just, for the most part, young kids are focused on what they're getting, and it's very difficult to, appreciate gift receiving. One of the things that my parents always did, I think maybe I touched on this in a podcast before, but being a triplet, we always gave gifts to our siblings on Christmas Eve. So it made us think about what would Kyle like, what would Janelle like, and then I did always look forward to giving those gifts to my brother and sister on Christmas Eve, and that was always a nice tradition.
Yeah, I love that. And I know some people do Christmas jammies on Christmas Eve night, and I love that kind of thing. My parents always let us open up one gift on Christmas Eve as well, which was just a fun tradition. And it was typically actually Holly and I's gift to each other, which is my sister. But Eric, I'm really thankful for you sharing what you did share. I think that a lot of times the things that we do for each other, it's even just smaller things, though, that don't add up to a lot we know we'd appreciate. One year, I was proud of this gift. I hope you were too. But I gave Eric I think it was like a 12 case of beer or like one of your favorite drinks. And on the bottom of each can, I had asked each of our friends to send me 1 or 2 sentences, since Eric's a words of affirmation guy, that they loved the most or appreciated the most about Eric, and tape them on the bottom of each can so that every time he got one out, he could read it. And did you like that gift?
Yeah, that was great. It was very thoughtful. And I was like, oh, great, some drinks. And then she's like, oh, turn them over. And I was like, oh, man, Justin Hutto said this really nice thing about me. That's great. Never knew he felt that way about me.
Too good. All right. Well, y'all, I hope that this helped you think through more intentional gift giving, and also just about how to save money and budget and what it might look like to, give gifts in your family, perhaps a little bit differently this year. Or if you leave us a review down below, give us some of your favorite gifts you've ever received or given, or how you and your family do it. We would love to hear that. And then make sure that you scroll down to the show notes. You can check out my holiday planner, which can be a really great place for you to have a place to just open up and be intentional. Just like with our Sunday reset every Sunday about being intentional during the months of October, November, and December. We use that planner year after year for our budget, for who we need to buy gifts for. Our favorite holiday recipes are in there, and just so many assets for memorizing scripture related to Christmas and all those things. So don't miss out on that. And then we love you guys. Happy holiday season. Eric, anything else?
Merry Christmas. Just kidding.
The only reason I said that is because I'm like, is this coming out in November or December? I'm not sure.
Just kidding. Anyways.
But yes, we're Merry Christmasers, not just Happy Holidays. All right. Love y'all. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, friend, that's a wrap on this week's episode. If you're not already following me on Instagram, make sure to screenshot this episode, share it to your stories, and tag @Healthy by Heather Brown so I can connect with you in my DMs. It truly brings me so much joy to see how these episodes impact you. Make sure to subscribe so we can see you back here next Tuesday for our weekly show. In case you don't know, your downloads, ratings, and reviews are the actual lifeblood of this podcast, and it helps spread the word to your friends and family. So please hit the download button on this episode and leave a 5-star rating if you super loved it. And if we're really BFFs, you'll spread the happy and text this podcast link to someone who needs to hear it today for some encouragement. Scroll down to the show notes on this episode to see any and all links mentioned, freebies to fuel your health goals, prayer-related episodes, and the 7-day free trial of my exclusive membership where I personally coach and cheer you on in whole health. While you're there, make sure to check out my Amazon storefront with healthy snacks, my favorite look for less workout outfits, and books and devotionals that challenge me in my faith. If you ever need to find my Amazon storefront, just Google Healthy by Heather Brown Amazon and it will come up. Have a great day, girl gang.